Eden Zero Chapter 197 is out, and I have to say, I really did enjoy this chapter and probably had one of my favorite fights in the series so far. Probably like around like maybe top 5, or at least top 10, but still, this was a really good fight for this chapter, and I have to say, things went a little differently than I initially expected, and it was well for the better. And Mashima really played with our expectations from last chapter going into this one. And my god, did the man do justice to what he was planning out, because I did not expect things to go the way they did in this chapter. Now you're probably wondering right now, how come this video was out way earlier than the previous review, which came out a few days prior? Well, that is primarily because it looks like the folks over at Sorcerer Weekly that did the fan translations for like Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, have now started to do some Eden Zero fan translations, which is how I did with chapter 196 last week, while the chapter was officially delayed to the day before the official release for 197. So it seems like for the time being, if I have the opportunity, I will try and actually do the fan translations first until we get to the actual official release, so I can do Eden Zero a lot quicker than I would normally would. If you guys like this, please let me know in the comments down below and like the video, because I really do think that this could be a good way for me to get Eden Zero on the channel more frequently for the time being. I'll probably shift over back to the official release at some point, because I don't know if Sorcerer Weekly is going to be able to keep doing this consistently alongside Fairy Tail 100 Years Quest, but I'll just have to wait and see. Anyway, before we get into the actual review, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really does help. And it shows that you guys want to see more Eden Zero content on the channel and helps with the YouTube algorithm. Also, don't forget to check me out at Twitter and Instagram at The Greek Weeb to see what else I'm doing when I upload as well, in case notifications for some reason do not work the minute my video is uploaded, as well as just seeing what else I'm doing during the time between videos and whether or not I'm interacting with other people on the platform. But with all that said and done, let's hit that intro and start the review. Eden Zero Chapter 197, titled Confidence. Now, I have to say this chapter, like I said, was really good, as we start off directly where last week kept us, with Sister being attacked by that wild beast that appeared out of nowhere because of Clown. How the specifics of how this creature came to be is beyond me, but probably like Clown's own solid holographic technology or something. I honestly don't know, because that thing just popped out of nowhere. It's probably Clown's ability, but still, I want some explanation. But anyway, it shows that Sister has not been killed or 100% defeated, as shown from the sounds on the panel. It seems like Sister is still struggling, and she is indeed just pinned down for the time being, and this creature is trying to gnaw down on her. Anyway, Clown is getting ahead of himself right now, saying that the Shining Stars are completely done, and he's right in front of Etherion, the thing that Ziggy wanted, the thing that could change the very laws of the universe. So Clown puts his hand onto the door and says code 3173 release. We then shift over to one of the cliffhangers from the previous chapter as well, with Shiki, Rebecca, Wise, Happy, and Pino noticing the aftermath of Homura and Brigand's battle. We then cut to 15 minutes beforehand, at the very start of this battle, as we assume it was right after Shiki left, right after Shiki was dragged into Killer's own subspace dimension so he could stay out of their fight. Brigand and Homura face off, as Brigand states that his body was once destroyed, talking about his encounter with Jaguar of the Irrational States Galactica, who is said to be their strongest warrior. He was completely destroyed, as we all remember, same with Killer, but he says that afterwards he underwent countless remodelings and repairs so he can gain the strength to exceed Jaguar as he was back then. So now he calls his armor the Peerless Armor, but he ends up saying that that is regrettable that he'll never be able to face Valkyrie and her Peerless Sword. Homura charges up and is about to go into her overdrive, stating that Valkyrie's sword was passed down to her, and she is his opponent. Brigand says he is already aware, but what Homura lacks is Valkyrie's skill. We see Homura fully in her overdrive state, as she says that she is aware that she cannot fully compare to her teacher, but she does have the power to vanquish him, and that's what matters. So I'm glad that we got confirmation that Homura went into overdrive during this battle, because that was a common complaint that this fight went completely off screen, and we have no idea if she did enter overdrive before the aftermath of the battle. So this little piece of confirmation is something that I am honestly very glad happened. But anyway, Homura charges forth and manages to slash against Brigand. Brigand says that the critical point of Ether is overdrive, and he states that if Homura has to go so far to use that, then she stands no chance against him, as he throws a right hook, managing to hit and push Homura back, seemingly damaging her with immense strength. Homura gets back up, but then Brigand then launches forward to land another hit, but Homura manages to dodge out of the way just in time. Brigand then grabs one of the pieces of towering debris on the side and throws it towards Homura, but she manages to dodge that as well. Interesting thing, I think that the actual pillar thing that Homura seemed to be smashed into in the previous chapter, so that's actually a really nice piece of attention to detail in terms of the environment. So I gotta hand it to you, Mashima. You keep getting better with your fights and just setting things up for in terms of the environment for the ending of the fight. That's just really cool. But anyway, Brigand begins to charge forward again towards Homura, and Homura charges up, ready to swing a sword with her Warrior Maiden single sword attack, Dragon Flash. But then Brigand counters with Protect Fortify as Homura's blade shatters upon his armor, shocking Homura, and Brigand used his armored pressure to tackle Homura and knock her clean out of the way. Homura regains her footing and reinforces her sword, repairing it back to normal. She says that her sword does not need to be peerless. All it needs is the power to protect her crew. Brigand charges forward again at full force, saying that she does not have that type of power. Homura says that she receives power through her crewmates and launches forward to land an attack against Brigand. But Brigand manages to tackle and force his way through Homura's attack, knocking her back once more. As we get some inner dialogue stating that he's recalculating her combat ability. The probability of her attack power exceeding his defenses is 0%. 0%. She can never break through my armor. As he states that she's foolish to not realize that. As he manages to charge forward towards Homura after she regains her footing once more, stating for her to vanish and that she is a disgrace to the name of Valkyrie. Homura gets back up, ready for another attack, saying that only those who know how I live may decide that. As she then uses Warrior Maiden single sword attack Kitsune Barrage Blade. At the same time, Brigand used armor pressure to knock Homura back into the pillar from before. But we then see, as he questions how did she cut him? As we see a multitude of deep cuts and gashes in Brigand's armor. Homura's attack managed to not only damage him, but give him enough damage to actually cause him to shake. And Homura states something very interesting that is something that is brought up in a lot of battles shonen, and a lot of series with really important fights, is that for those with any type of defensive power, their defenses fall the very moment they attack. And Brigand confirms this. That's the same for her. So she gave up all of her defenses just to land an attack on him. Homura states that's the fundamentals of battle, and that's what her teacher taught her. As her overdrive manages to disappear, and she seems to fall unconscious. As we then cut to what we saw in the previous chapter, Brigand in the dust, and Brigand stating that she was a valiant warrior, as we see the cracks continue to spread across his body, as he then collapses, stating to Homura, well done. Brigand collapses and is destroyed, meaning that 2 of the Dark Stars were completely defeated. I count Killer as 3, but he wasn't destroyed by Hermit, so it does technically count as a draw, I have to say, due to what's going on with Hermit right now, but that was a nice subversion of expectations. Anyway, the entire crew right now is shocked at what they saw. They initially thought that Homura had been killed or defeated by Brigand, but in reality, it was the opposite. She was knocked unconscious, and Brigand was the one who was defeated. Pino states that she detects Homura's breathing and that she's alive. Homura calls out the Shiki, stating that she has fulfilled her duty as one of the 4 shining stars. Haven't I? But Shiki just states that it doesn't even matter to him. All that matters is the fact that they're friends. That's what's more important. And Homura states that she has all the confidence she ever needed. Ending the chapter. So I have to say, Mashima did a really good job in setting up this fight, seemingly being off screen, potentially it being a rematch. But no, with how things have played out, he purposefully led to us believing that Homura had lost to Brigand, and us entering the darkest timeline once more, with the Eden Zero crew facing incredibly powerful opponents and being utterly overwhelmed and destroyed. And we were all thinking perhaps either Homura will get up for a round 2, or Rebecca will have no choice but to use her caliber powers. I stated this in my last video as well, but now with how things are turning out, this doesn't seem to be the case yet. Homura managed to completely defeat Brigand. While yes, she is incredibly battered, bruised, and perhaps can't fight anymore for the moment, she defeated her Dark Star counterpart, her teacher's Dark Star counterpart, someone that was meant to defeat her or at least balance things out. And this is a Brigand that was powered up after taking on Jaguar. I'm not a power scaler, but this could also mean that Homura has surpassed Jaguar in terms of attack power if Brigand was modeled to be stronger in terms of not just strength, but his defense to be stronger than Jaguar's overall attack power. Then again, we haven't seen too much from Jaguar, so yeah, I don't want to bring this up. I don't like power scaling because it tends to get way out of hand, but that's just something that came to mind. But also this chapter confirmed that Sister wasn't like chomped in half by that bizarre beast creature that Clown managed to summon. She is seemingly struggling against it, so I say we're going to see Sister get up in the next chapter. And the next chapter seems to be called Nightmare, so perhaps we will get Clown's full capabilities against Sister after she gets up, and perhaps their own fight will end in the next chapter or in the chapter following that. But overall, this was a great chapter. This entire chapter was the fight against the Armor of Edens and the Sword of Edens, and it was just a really good fight and probably one of my favorite fights in Eden Zero. This fight was literally one chapter long. I wished it was longer, but at the same time, it didn't need to be longer. It makes complete and total sense that Homura would go all out against this guy more or less from the start after exchanging a few blows against him, feeling things out, seeing how he moves and attacks, and then coming to the conclusion that she has to not defend against the attack and just attack the very moment that he does, which lowers his defensive capabilities, as it seems like he doesn't use his fortify ability when he is attacking. He is focusing purely on using his weight and force to take down Homura. Very smart battle prowess from Homura, as we don't see her too much in terms of like thinking in battle a lot of the times, as she has a bunch of different skills. The last time we saw Homura fight was against Milani during the Aoi War arc, and she, after achieving overdrive, more or less kind of single-handedly took her down. In this fight, she struggled even in overdrive, and in a sense, if she was knocked out or killed or whatever, the fight technically would have ended in a draw, but she was still conscious, and Brigand was the one who was destroyed. So she did in fact win this fight, and this was just a nice subversion of expectations. I know I'm kind of gushing over this fight and how things were set up for like for the last 5 minutes of this video, but I cannot state how excited and happy I am that this fight ended the way it did and was structured the way it was. Overall, this was a really good 10 out of 10 chapter, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. But what did you guys think of this fight? Did you like the fact that it was one chapter long and it was just purely this fight with nothing else going on, with just that one cutback at the beginning with what's going on with Clown setting up his final confrontation with Sister? What do you think is going to happen next? What do you think is going to go on with the rest of the Irrational States Galactica in terms of taking on their respective opponents? And what do you think is going to go on with Ziggy right now, as right now he is all alone? So right now, do you think Shiki is going to head straight to Ziggy right now? Leave your thoughts and opinions down below on how things could play out, even as well as if Rebecca still is going to use Caliber in this arc, as she has now used it for practically 100 chapters at this point. So I'm curious to see if she's going to use her time leap abilities, and if we're going to enter that darkest timeline, especially since the next chapter is supposedly being called Nightmare. But leave your thoughts, opinions, theories, all in the comments down below. I do read every single comment, and I try to interact as much as I possibly can. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos, as always, to show that you guys support the channel and like me doing Eden Zero content and want me to continue doing more. And if you want to support the channel more directly, don't forget to check out my Patreon and my Ko-fi accounts, links in the description and in the title card up above. If you do want to support the channel more directly and see me do more videos outside of chapter reviews more consistently with a bit better quality. And with all said and done, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I hope you all had an awesome day.